The winning blueprint presents.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. It's Wednesday, and this is a really slow day in the National Football League. Not a lot of storylines, not a lot going on. Keep in mind, this is Pro Bowl week. There is a week between the Super Bowl and championship weekend. So there's no NFL action other than the Pro Bowl. The Senior Bowl is going on. There's a lot of evaluating and scouts out at the Senior Bowl trying to see who of this group will make something of themselves and really lift their stock going into the combine. Other than that, it's not really a lot going on today in the lab room, but nonetheless, we move on and we push forward. There are plenty of things to talk about. They may not be as interesting and juicy as we would like, but hey, it's still news and I'm still going to give it to you. So let me first say this, because I didn't touch on it. I didn't feel the need to touch on it, but as an African American, I think it's my duty to say something about it. And so Monday was Martin Luther King Day. It's his celebration. It wasn't his birthday, but it was his day that has been anointed his day in January. And to me, every day is Dr. Martin Luther King Day, not just one day in January. Without his struggles, without his part in the civil rights movement, without all of the things that he and other civil rights movement members, I don't know where we would be today as people. And that's everyone, not just blacks, but everyone. Blacks, whites, Hispanics, everyone. He fought for equality, not just the freedom and the civil rights of African Americans. He fought for everyone to be together in harmony and peace, and for everyone to have the same rights, for everyone to be afforded the same opportunities in life. And so I feel like every day is Dr. Martin Luther King Day, not just the third Monday in January. He had a dream. I have a dream. You might have a dream. I saw a great message on Facebook from Deion Sanders. And from time to time, Deion will post some very introspective and thought-provoking messages on Facebook. And here was one of his best. He said that Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream. And his dream was for the betterment of everyone. You might have a dream, but your dream is for the betterment of you and your family. And that's the difference. I couldn't agree with it more. I couldn't agree with Deion in that statement more. Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream, and his dream was for everyone. Everyone to have the same opportunities as everyone else. No one should have a greater chance of having something work in their favor because of the color of their skin. No one should have something go their way because of their gender, their age, their nationality. Everyone should be afforded the same opportunities, no matter of race, creed, gender, color, what may have you. And his biggest thing was everyone. And I know I have a dream, but it doesn't extend beyond me and my family. And I guess you could call that selfish. Just know that the world is a better place because of men like Dr. Martin Luther King. And we're all grateful and in debt to guys like him, to people like him. So let's get back to football. There's been a big spat between Bill Callahan and Tim Brown. And Tim Brown has made some very wild, crazy, and borderline asinine accusations in the direction of Bill Callahan. And now, I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know where these bitter feelings have derived from. But nonetheless, Tim Brown, I guess he felt like, hey, what better time to talk about the Super Bowl that we lost in 2002 than now when the Super Bowl is right on the horizon. Hey, I think our head coach at the time, Bill Callahan, threw the game. I think he sabotaged us. He changed the game plan 2 days before the game. I asked him about why he was changing it. He didn't give me an answer. He played right into the hands of John Gruden, and we lost and we got embarrassed. It was his fault. He sabotaged us and forced us to lose the game. You hear that and you go, really, Tim? That's the best you can do? Your head coach who helped you get to the Super Bowl, who got through the regular season, got through the postseason, got you guys all the way to the Super Bowl, worked hard just as you did to get to that point, hated the Raiders so much, and loved John Gruden so much that he sabotaged the game, lost it on purpose so that John Gruden can win and so that he could stick it to the Raiders all at the same time. Again, really? I didn't talk about it before because I didn't want to give that nonsense any merit. I didn't want to give any credence to it because it makes absolutely no sense. What is there to gain? First of all, why are we even talking about this? Why does this matter 10 years later? If you had a problem then, why didn't we hear about this a year after you retired? Once you weren't playing football anymore. Why didn't we hear about it then? Why are we hearing about it a decade later? That's number one. Number two, why does this make any sense? Why would he do something like that? What is there to gain from Bill Callahan sabotaging the Oakland Raiders? I don't know. Third, there is no third. Third is that this makes no sense. And then Jerry Rice, arguably the greatest player to ever lace him up, decides that he's going to back Tim Brown's claim. He has no proof. He adds no value to the claim. All he did was basically repeat what Tim Brown said over and over again. Translation, a lot of hot air. Now Tim Brown today is backtracking. And this is exactly why I didn't want to talk about this, because I knew that this thing wasn't going to go very far. Now all of a sudden Tim Brown is saying, hey, I didn't say that he sabotaged us. Oh yeah? Well, that's what it sounded like to me. Either way, I'm going to put a nice, tight, pretty bow on this one. We're going to move on, never to discuss this again unless something monumental changes in all of this, which it won't. This was pure bitterness on the part of Tim Brown. He's mad that they didn't win the game. He was looking for someone to pin it on. After 10 years, it's been bubbling, and he just finally said something about it. You lost. Get over it. It's not Bill Callahan's fault that you were out-executed. You were running basically the same offense that was installed when John Gruden was there. He knew exactly what you were going to do, in and out. He created the offense, basically. He was there when you ran it. And so you just ran into a trap almost, because everything that you did to get to that point, the same plays you were running during the regular season, same plays you were running during the postseason, you ran it in the Super Bowl, and John Gruden just happened to know when they were coming, put guys in the right position. They knew when they saw formations, this was coming. They lined up correctly, and they took advantage of it. You got outplayed. You got out-executed. Simple as that. You got out-coached. It happens. You lost. Move on. That's that. Bill Callahan came out and defended himself. He didn't need to, but of course, you have to in this day and age. If you don't say anything, it looks like you're guilty. Everyone knows Bill Callahan didn't do that on purpose. Who loses on purpose? What is there to gain by losing and being embarrassed in the Super Bowl on the grandest stage in the National Football League, or really one of the grandest stages in all of sports? Where's the benefit in all of that? What's to be gained by doing that? Nothing. So we're done with that. That's the bow. It's on it. It's tightly sealed. We're not going there again. I want to talk quickly about the Pro Bowl. We touched on it yesterday. I want to briefly touch on it again today because I heard Ray Anderson, a high-ranking official in the NFL offices, talking about the Pro Bowl and the longevity and life of it. And he basically said it's in the hands of the players. It depends on how hard the players play in the Pro Bowl. If they just go about it like they're going through the motions, we're going to do away with the game because it really doesn't matter. It's hard. It's like a catch-22 because you want to play hard. You want to have fun, but you want to play hard. But at the same time, you don't want to get hurt. It's the Pro Bowl. But then there's money also involved for these guys who go there. You win, you get X amount of dollars. You lose, you get X amount of dollars. Of course, if you win, you get a lot more. And you lose, you get a lot less. So there's incentive for you to want to win. But at the same time, no one's out there trying to hurt anyone. No one's out there trying to inflict physical punishment. Every now and again, you get someone like Sean Taylor lining up and Brian Moorman. It's rare, though, in Pro Bowl games. Everyone's out there having fun. You don't blitz. There's not a lot of, creativity going on. It's just a lot of guys out there having fun, running around. And so I don't really know what that means for the Pro Bowl, but he's basically put the ball in the player's court. If we're going to cancel the Pro Bowl game altogether, it'll be because you guys didn't put forth enough effort. And it sounds like that's how the NFL is trying to spin it. Hey, we're giving you the opportunity to keep this game alive. I've heard several players speak out on the fact that they don't want this game to go away. And again, for the most part, the guys that don't mind going to Hawaii and love the fact that they're getting an all-expenses paid trip to Hawaii and have a chance to make another extra, $30,000, $50,000 or whatever it is when you win the Pro Bowl. I think it's really neat. But at the end of the day, what is it that the Pro Bowl game itself actually means? And for some of these players, it means absolutely nothing. That's why they don't even show up. And so, it is what it is at this point. But I said all of that to say this. Ray Anderson basically put the ball in the player's court and said, hey, if you want this game to exist, then you have to go out and play like you want it to exist. And so that's where we are with the Pro Bowl. And will it or won't it be around for years to come? So that's a touchdown. Go ahead. Throw it up. Told you it was a brief day in the lab room, so we're going to tack on this extra point, except that I'm going for 2. I'm going for 2. And it's about 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to first start with Brandon Weeden because I heard something, and I really just dismissed it, but I'm just going to talk about it anyway because I feel like this makes absolutely no sense. I don't know why I'm even talking about it, but I'm going to bring it to your attention anyway. I heard a story about Rob Trzynski having a press conference when he was introducing Norv Turner as the offensive coordinator and saying, hey, we don't have a starter right now. Let's not anoint Brandon Weeden the starter. Really? And so you have a better backup plan in place? Who's your guy? Talk to me. What do you have? Nobody. That's what I thought. You're going to start Colt McCoy? Am I supposed to believe that he's the answer in Cleveland? Stop it. Brandon Weeden is your man in Cleveland. No need to give me the old coach speak. I'm new and competition is everywhere, including the quarterback position. Everyone has to work for their job. Save it. Save it for someone who actually wants to hear that nonsense. Because I'm not trying to listen to it. Your quarterback is Brandon Weeden. Let's not start playing mind games here. You haven't been long enough to start doing things like that. Let's not start that right off the bat, okay? I feel like this Browns team has a chance to be going in the right direction. Don't come in here and start playing mind games with your young franchise quarterback. He had a solid season. It could have been better. It could have been a lot worse as well. There's a lot of good things that he does and some things he needs to work on. Don't start playing mind games by talking about him not possibly being the starting quarterback. Let him know that it's his job and that he needs to work harder to improve some of the things that he didn't do well in 2012. But make no mistake about it. Brandon Weeden is your starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. You need to treat him as such, and you need to move forward as such. Give him all the tools necessary to be a successful quarterback in the National Football League. Don't shortchange him by telling him, hey, there's a competition and yada, yada, yada. Stop it. Give the man every opportunity to be successful in this league, and you'll see the dividends that it will yield. You start playing mind games and having this competition open for business when there really isn't one, making him press and looking over his shoulder instead of working on the things that he needs to work on to get better, then he'll be stuck in the mud. He'll be stuck in neutral because he'll be working towards being the starter instead of working on the things that will make him a better quarterback in 2013. It's his job. So let's stop with the buffoonery and the chicanery. It's his job. Let him work on the things that he needs to improve upon. The decision making. The ability to trust his eyes. Cut it loose. And work on his rapport with his receivers. That's all I have to say about that. Brandon Weeden is your starter in Cleveland. End of discussion. There's nothing else that needs to be said. The other quarterback I want to talk about is Aaron Rodgers. And there was recently an article in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel talking about the fact that Aaron Rodgers might not be a great leader. There's no secret that he's been criticized as a guy that's not a great leader. Shannon Sharp has commented on that before. There's been other media outlets that have said things of that nature, but I don't know how true it is. I can tell you one thing about Aaron Rodgers, though. He's a very, very sensitive man. Very sensitive. Very easily moved. You know, for someone of his talent, his caliber, someone that seems like they're so easygoing and so smooth, he's a very sensitive guy. He doesn't like something, it's easy to get under his skin. He doesn't take criticism well, and if something isn't the way he thinks it should be, he'll speak his mind, but if you dare say something, you'll offend him. And he's very easily offended. Very sensitive. My gosh. I was surprised to really see how sensitive he is. And this article that was written in the Sentinel was basically talking about how he lacks the leadership and in some instances the maturity that you would expect out of a guy that's a MVP and Super Bowl MVP and Super Bowl winner and really the face of a franchise, but yet they just don't see it in him. They talked about how he skipped on the exit interview basically and press conference with the media to go clown around on someone else's interview. And he's a guy that loves to joke around and he has a zest for life and he likes to, you know, kid around a lot. If you haven't seen before the game during every national anthem or when they go out for the coin toss and the captains are standing there and they take the picture, he's always doing something behind them, making some kind of funny face or gesture or just posing or doing something that's comical. That's who Aaron Rodgers is. And some people take that as someone that's not serious enough to be a great leader. And I don't know what it is. I mean, there's been the Jeremiah Finley thing. And, you know, Aaron Rodgers makes comments sometimes that you say to yourself, hey, I understand what you're saying, but you could have kept that to yourself. You being the leader in the clubhouse and the quarterback of this team, you don't need to come out in the media and say that. But, again, to each its own. And I don't know if Aaron Rodgers isn't or is a great leader or not. All I know is that year in, year out, his team is in contention to do some serious damage in the NFC. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. What do you do on the football field? All the other things, they go by the wayside. No one really cares. I mean, that stuff is for the media to talk about, like what we're doing right now, talking about something that's basically irrelevant. Is he a great leader? I don't know. I'm not sure. And honestly, I could care less. As long as you're winning football games, if I'm a Packers fan, I could care less if he was a great leader or not. If we win another 2 Super Bowls in his career, I'm perfectly fine with whatever Aaron Rodgers is in that locker room. As long as they're getting W's, they're hoisting Lombardi trophies, and putting new banners up around the stadium saying that they're Super Bowl champions, I could care less about who thinks he is or isn't a great leader. Just win. And that's all it's about. It's about what Al Davis coined long ago. I think it's one of the best phrases ever. Because that's all I'm about too. Just win, baby. Just win. And as long as you do that, and that's what I'm about, winning. Duh, winning. As long as you do that, who cares about all that other stuff? It just goes away. It just fades to black. You win, and the narrative always changes. It says one thing before, and then when you win, it all changes. The narrative changes because winning changes things. And so I don't know if he's a great leader or not, nor do I care. As long as you're winning football games, winning championships, none of that actually matters. And that's going to do it for today in the lab room. I thank you for joining me on the program today. Wasn't that much to get to. Really wasn't. Sean Payton was officially reinstated. He had a press conference today. I mean, it wasn't really a lot to talk about. We talked about that yesterday. And so we'll come back tomorrow. We'll chat about more NFL news as always. Want to see you back here later, though, as we dive into another installment of the Lab follow-up series, talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today, as they are the 13th pick in the draft. And so we'll be talking Tampa Bay Buccaneers football. So stay tuned for that. That'll be up shortly. I thank you for joining me today in the lab room. As always, there's several different social media outlets that you can use to contact this show or view it. There's Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. There's Twitter. @In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. There's YouTube. Louis T is the page. If you can't find the page to subscribe to, which is Louis T, then just type in the Lab Room or Lab Follow-Up, or type in your favorite team and Lab Room and it'll pop up. So there's many ways to contact the show, and the best and most direct is always the inbox. In the Lab Room @gmail.com. I thank you for joining me on the program today. Hope to see you later on as we discuss the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I want to see you back here, same time, same place. And as always, have a good one. See you later on the Lab Follow-Up. See you tomorrow in the Lab Room. Have a good one.